flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll begin with the school committee chair report. Elections are tomorrow for municipal government. It's important. Please vote for your next mayor, your city councilors, your school committee members. If you need to know where you vote, you can go to www.wheredoivotema.com and it will tell you where you vote. Moving on to the resource committee. Guys had a meeting? We haven't had a meeting. Okay. Policy?
We actually went over a few policies at our last meeting. We have been working on updating the first aid and protocols and our medical policy. That should be coming up for a vote at our next school committee meeting. We're also working to update our network etiquette, as well as the internet publications of information such as our student information, privacy data. And we did talk with a few parents regarding the transportation issue at Memorial, and hopefully we have come to some kind of a resolution, and we will keep you updated on that. Our next meeting is on Tuesday, November 17th at 5 o'clock.
Okay. Student support?
We'll be meeting on the 24th. I believe it'll be around 5:30. And we'll get the agenda together and to Patty as soon as we can.
Great. We will have an executive session tonight. I don't see our student, so we're going to move on to any new business or communications.
I have one communication. I probably have more, but we'll start with one. So what I have here is Fitchburg Public Library is going to have their Authors Night devoted to Letters Home on Thursday, November 12th, 6:30 p.m. This is an evening of spoken word honoring Veterans Day and the 150th anniversary of the end of the Civil War. Fitchburg had a lot of soldiers that went down. They went down basically as whole neighborhoods. They weren't divided into regiments outside of their Fitchburg regiment. So the stories that came back, the letters, it's heartrending, and it's really great scholarship. So we have some wonderful people, including the library director, Sharon Bernard, and Civil War reenactor Stephen Twining, who will be reading authentic letters. So these will be letters, poetry, music, and the voices of all long-forgotten Fitchburg soldiers. Again, that's Thursday, November 12th, 6:30 p.m., absolutely appropriate for students. I will be getting flyers to schools. I'm going to send it off to Paula to get her approval. And I look forward to hopefully seeing students there as well. And we are continuing with a wonderful after-school program with Matthew Puma, who's volunteered at Rheingold Elementary School. It's called Fascinating Fitchburg. We've got, I think, over 30 kids engaged in pretty deep scholarship about people of Fitchburg, everyone from John Fitch to Lisa Wong, actually, and many, many more in between. So they're looking at a variety of sources, including the internet, and doing really great work. So I want to do a shout-out to Rheingold and Martha Clark and Martha Wiley, as well as Matthew Puma. This meets Thursdays, and we will be doing another after-school program called Pop-Up Architecture, and details will be announced on that.
And next Wednesday, November 11th, at 11 a.m. is the official Veterans Day ceremony for the city of Fitchburg. This will be held at the Fitchburg Senior Center. Also that day, there's going to be a Veterans Day pancake breakfast. So 9 a.m. at the Senior Center, there'll be a Veterans Day pancake breakfast. That will be $2 a ticket. And then the official ceremonies will kick off at 11 a.m. that day. Okay. Any other communications? Okay. Seeing none, we're going to move on to the superintendent's. No, we're going to move on to the public comment. Anybody in the audience wishing to speak on any agenda item? Okay. There'll be another public comment at the end of the meeting. The superintendent's report.
Hey, thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of announcements. Just a reminder to everybody, the Breakfast for the Band is coming up, and that's the Sunday before Thanksgiving. Tickets can be bought at the high school, at central office, and there are other community locations. Tickets are $8 for adults, and for children, I think under 12, it's actually free. Eight? Under 8. Children under 8. It's actually, thank you, Tabitha. It's actually free. So it's a great event, and it's a good coming together, and all of the money goes to the music programs from Leominster, between Leominster and Fitchburg. Also want to talk about last week, a number of us, I know Paula and Bob and I went to see the movie The Hungry Heart. It was a showing of a movie at Monty Tech, and it was on the opioid crisis. It is the topic right now among superintendents in terms of what's going on in our communities. Following up to The Hungry Heart, Sunday night, 60 Minutes had an expose on a community outside of Columbus, Ohio, and the impact that it's having. This is a very disturbing issue, and on a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons is the ready accessibility that I believe our students can have to opioids and the impact that it can have on their life, changing their life totally. So I did reach out to the police chief today. I want to begin doing some initiatives in the Fitchburg schools about it. The first one will be a communication home to parents to try to set up some sort of a collection. My view is if we clean out some medicine cabinets of leftover prescriptions, that means that that's opioids that are not accessible to students, to kids. So I'm going to be meeting with the police chief to talk about that. He's very interested in it. He just got back from a conference in Chicago and attended a workshop there on the topic. It was the International Conference of Police Chiefs. So I'll keep you posted on it. If I sent out an email today, I've already got 5 or 6 staff members who are interested in being on this group. But I really, this is something, I've never come across anything that's really just kind of troubled me as much as this does because of just the ready accessibility. Kids are going to have their wisdom teeth taken out and can come home with a prescription that can give them a lifelong addiction. So we're working on it on a lot of different in a lot of different ways.
If I could recommend that you also include the Board of Health.
Yep.
They were one of
Yep.
the early people to start a regional coalition dealing with this issue.
And just there's good information out there. You know, we're on the end of it most of the time, dealing with the results of it. But if we can be on the early end of it and try to stop some addictions, you know, that would be great. So every school committee meeting, we start with presentations from either staff or students about activities going on. And tonight, we have 2 staff members from the high school. Stephen Dauphiné is here to talk to you about the upcoming play, The Crucible. And then Tabitha is going to be here to talk to you about the music program. So.
Hi, folks. Unfortunately, my kids couldn't be here tonight because of the football game, and I'll be there shortly myself. Just want to highlight, and we'll hope to be
If
here-
you want to come in and take a seat here, because just that's where the cameras are, and then you've got a microphone right at the table here.
Right here?
No, right there, yeah.
Sorry, folks, my back turned in. The Crucible is being played the same weekend. You're the 21st, right?
Yep, the 22nd.
22nd, rather. We're the 19th and 20th, that same weekend. We'll be doing The Crucible. It's one of Arthur Miller's greatest plays. We have 23 girls and 14 boys involved. And that's just the performers. We have a few others that will be doing some tech for us. We've been rehearsing 3 to 4 days a week since September 14th. There's 2.5 weeks left, and we hope that's enough. We're also performing during the school day on the 19th, which is for the entire sophomore class. Most sophomore classes in our state actually read The Crucible. So right now our English teachers are working with that with their kids. So by the time they finish The Crucible, they'll get a chance to come and see us perform it and see what Arthur Miller really intended. I always tell the kids that the playwright didn't sit there and write something for high school kids to read 30, 40 years later. They wrote for the theater. And so it's nice to be able to have them get a chance to see some live theater as well. I'm going to leave some posters behind. Also in the reverse, there's a opportunity for advertising. If you know any businesses or any schools want to send some money to us to help our program, that'd be nice. We've raised so far $500 in business ads from local banks, one funeral home, and some other spots. So thanks for letting us let me come in and talk to you about that, and hopefully in a couple of weeks, some of my kids could come in and perform for you in costume. That'd be nice. We'll
That'd
see.
be great.
Okay? Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Tabitha, you have a lot of bling over there. Do you need help carrying it over?
I have like a video to play. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's possible.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay.
That's cool.
Can I just plug in from
Yep.
here? Okay. So we'll do like that. Fabulous. So at the end of April, the beginning of May, this last spring, the band, for the first time in about 25 years, went to Disney. For Festival Disney, we performed there, and we not only did we do a workshop, but we also did a performance. Over the time, we were there for 4 days. The performance took place on the second day. I have some stuff that I'm going to show you from the performance and a little sound clip of our performance that was adjudicated, as well as a video that we made during the workshop to be able to show you that. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about our marching season, which has just come to a close. Our competitive marching season yesterday was our last competition at Lawrence Memorial Stadium at Lawrence High School, where we earned for the second year in a row a gold medal.
Wow. Wow. That's great.
It's fantastic. Last year was the first time that the band had earned a gold medal in over 20 years at any kind of competition. So the fact that we've now done this in 2 years in a row consistently is big, really big for the program. So I'm super, super excited and very, very proud of all of my students. This is not in like my normal purview of stuff to do, PowerPoint presentation, I won't lie. So it makes me a little nervous, but that's okay. All right, so the first thing that we did was at this Festival Disney, which was our performance. And these are some of the feedback that we received from the judges, just a small sampling of the things that they mentioned about our performance, that they said that we were well prepared on notes and rhythms, that our attention to articulation and our dynamic contrast were both really excellent. So that means that they could tell a difference between us like slurring our words as opposed to being very articulate. It's the same that we use in language. And dynamic contrast, how loud or soft we play and the variations therein. So you want to hear a lot of gray when you're performing. You don't want to hear terrace dynamics, meaning everything's very, very loud and then everything's very, very soft. You have to get all of those little pieces in between. And we received our highest scores within that in the categories of musicianship, interpretation, and rhythmic accuracy. We came 1 point from a silver medal while we were there. We received a bronze, and this is our reward, is this awesome Festival Disney trophy that they gave at a massive award ceremony at Hollywood Studios, where they have the racing show, the car show. So it was awesome. Lots of fireworks and very Disney. Very Disney. So here's a couple of still photographs. I hope that this works. A couple of still photographs of our performance and a little clip of our last piece from the performance, which was a piece by Frank Ticheli called Abracadabra. It's supposed to be very magical. It's supposed to, make things sparkle. I just hear it from my laptop, unless you got it.
This is your team, right?
Yep, so that's me. and then the band. We tried to be as unobtrusive as possible, obviously, in the middle of the performance. So that's it. That's the end. There's just a little snip. The second part of our trip was to attend a Your Instrumental workshop. This workshop lasted 3 hours, and it comprised a whole lot of different musical objectives. So the main focus is to get kids really engaged in sight reading and that skill, which is unique to musicians. They talk a lot about what it means to perform at a professional level. When you come in and you sight read something, you are paid per minute or per hour within the cycle of recording something. And how well you do that is how much money you could potentially make, or how much money the studio could potentially lose. So what the students did in this amount of time is they worked on some of the pieces that we had done, but a lot of Disney music. And what the students did not know, but I knew ahead of time, is that within this workshop, what they do is they pick a section of music from a popular Disney movie. You don't know what it's going to be, but then the students rehearse it for about half an hour, and then they are recorded live, and then that soundtrack is then added to the actual Disney movie, and then given to you as a keepsake. So I have that little movie that we can play for you. They learned A Whole New World, part of A Whole New World. So you'll see a sequence from Aladdin, and it's the Fitchburg High School band that's the accompaniment for that track. It's about 4 minutes. That's because they also did a second song called Trash in the Camp, which is from Tarzan. And I'll just let it play, but what I will tell you is I'm the person that's responsible for all of the animal noises that you hear on the recording. It was mortifying but hilarious. Because the day before we had been at Magic Kingdom, which I grew up in Southern California, so Magic Kingdom is just like Disneyland, and I was like a kid in a toy store. And I completely threw out my voice. So when they told me that I had to do a Tarzan yell, it didn't work out so well in my favor. But the students loved it. So if you catch really carefully, there was a point that I wanted to see how well all of them were listening. So I got really close to the microphone and I just said, tweet, tweet, just like that. And so you can hear it on the recording. But I got to exit out of this and then pull it up from a different place. Let's not do that. This is actually like kind of cheating. We're not supposed to like necessarily make this public, the stuff that we get. Disney made me sign all sorts of paperwork, but this is exactly the kind of place where we should be presenting what we did. Let's see if this helps any. That's a little better, okay. What's after? You obviously won't be able to tell the difference. Come on. So these are just a collection of photographs that they took during the performance, and that's me, my Tarzan. Yeah, I warned you. I warned you. You were listening. There you go. There are monkeys and horses in the rainforest for sure. There you go. Yeah, definitely was an amazing experience for all of my students that attended. There's some more photos.
How long were you? 4 days? You said?
4 days, yeah. So, while we were, this is like after the workshop, and then I collected a couple of quotes. This is me with about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them going down Splash Mountain. This is a squad photo, in case you don't know. This is like the latest craze that everyone either is supposed to look really grumpy and point at the camera, or to do like peace signs. Those are the things. So these are some of the things that they said about their trip. Truly an amazing experience. We should do this every year. I learned so much and can improve. Festival Disney is probably the best experience I've had as a musician. They're the first judges to say the same thing as you, meaning me, right? Our size doesn't matter. The feedback I've gotten from the judges has helped me better in my playing. It was so cool to hear us playing and to watch Aladdin. And then one of my favorites, because it's just hilarious, I learned to not trust Miss Greenlee's with roller coasters. My favorite part was not riding the roller coasters and buying a glass rose. I would like to go again without the roller coasters. So you can tell what this kid's favorite part was definitely not the roller coasters. That was one of my favorite parts, but yeah, so that's kind of it. Then we did 4 competitions this season, so kind of like fast forward to marching season, the beginning of this year. We went to 4 different competitions. We went to Methuen High School, we went to Wakefield High School, Somerset Berkeley Regional High School, and then finals at Lawrence. And I just put together a really quick graph so that you could see our progression over that month of time. This year we learn 60 sets. So that means that they're within the time frame of what we're doing, we're learning 60 different moves on the field within an 11-minute, 10-minute field show. So you can imagine how quickly, those are all in repetitions of 8s or 16s usually, sometimes in 4s. So the fact that we increased over 20 points over that month is vast improvement, and you can see how we went from having a bronze through 2 silvers and then finally finishing out the season with gold. So it was a really fabulous experience for us, as always. NESBA was wonderful for us. Last year we did the same competition circuit. We went to 5 competitions, and it's about the same in terms of what we did. So we're being very, very consistent, which is awesome. But I got a lot of comments from the kids that said next year they don't want to start with bronze. They want to start with silver. So that's a great moment. But that's about it in terms of kind of what I have for you today.
Great job.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you. So just like Steve, I got to get back to the football game.
Well, clearly, looking at this, you've got your artifacts all done for this year's evaluation. You've got your DDMs in here and everything else. That's
I'm just
Do you have any questions? I mean,
Not a question, but I just have to say I'm thrilled that you're there because I think band had really fallen off, and you're rebuilding it, and that's tremendous.
thank you.
Thank you.
And is the new schedule helping? Is it doing what you had hoped it would do?
Not so much initially this first year, but it's always kind of in that first year. So I've been very cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
We have seen there have been more freshmen who've been able to be assigned to the class, which is great, great news. And in terms of a department, as a de facto department head, i.e. I'm the only one there, so as I can deign myself, but within the department, our numbers are through the roof. So my chorus went from last year having 18 students. I have 40 in chorus this year, and that's a big transition from the schedule, and also because we do the same sorts of things that the band is doing. We're traveling, we're going to all the different places and really promoting ourselves. The band has 25 in it, and I have 2 piano classes and a keyboard class, so thank you for those additional keyboards. That's a huge help for my piano class of 29, and another class of 21, and then a guitar class with 21 as well. So all of those are big improvements and numbers-wise from the last couple of years, just because we have more instruments. I've had to cancel classes the last 3 years because there's such interest in taking music, but there's just not enough space and there's not enough me. So it's great.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Really
you.
great. Good.
I
And
hope to
do
see
we
you all
know-
at the Breakfast for the Bands. That'll be our first thing. And then our winter concert is December 17th, I think. Is that the Thursday? That sounds right, doesn't it? Yeah, December 17th. So that'll be at 7 o'clock at the high school.
When do you reveal the spring musical? When does that get decided and revealed?
I know what it is.
Yeah. Well, that's different than revealing it.
True. I know what it's going to be. It's a comedy, I can tell you that, and it's very, very funny. Everybody knows the story. So that's all I'm willing to share at this point in time.
A teaser.
A teaser, yes.
Okay, thanks
but it
so
will be
much.
very good. Thank you so much.
Good.
Thanks, Tabitha.
We're going to start the school presentations now.
All right. I'll come back.
Oh, okay. Mayor, I think we still have to do approval of the minutes, the vote.
Oh, yep. Approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second? Any changes, questions, amendments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes.
Okay. He's coming later. And Ray, if you want to come up, and we just need to shift.
Follow Disney.
What?
Follow Disney.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we didn't say it was going to be easy when you took the job.
No, you didn't. Do we know which one?
No, I just read it. Were you using it?
Did you go?
No, he's not here.
He's probably down at Cockefield right now.
Yeah.
There we go.
Dina to the rescue. It's a good thing
I
you're
know.
here, Dina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dual role.
Security, yeah. All right. Hi, everyone. First, thank you all for your warm reception earlier this month. I really appreciate it. And continued thanks to the central office. They've been tremendously helpful to my adjustment to Goodrich, and I'm really having a lot of fun with it. I want to echo what the superintendent said about the opioid issue. It is huge, and it is current, and I've seen a lot at every place that I've been in terms of misuse of opioids, and it's something that we really do need to tackle and address and make the public aware of it, because it's a major, major health issue. So anyways, I'm at Goodrich Academy, and very happy to be there. And basically what we are is, right now, we currently have 161 students. 85 are Fitchburg, 76 are school choice. That's going to change very quickly as we're getting ready for the second trimester. We're starting this week with interviews and information sessions for potential new students. It's really great to have a small learning community for the types of students that we have. We also have a small learning community for our staff. What you see on the screen is what our staff is, and it's very tight. We work together really well. The dynamics seem to work very well in terms of the adults interacting with the kids. There's enough differentiation between the types of personalities on the faculty so that it seems like every student has an adult that they can feel very comfortable with and feel like they can trust that person with information and ask for help. And that's huge for our kids because of all the things that they're going through, and the reluctance that they had initially coming back to school in a lot of cases. So it's a fun place to work. We laugh a lot while we're learning, and the kids, I think, really look forward to being there. This past June, we awarded 92 diplomas to graduating seniors. Since then, 9 other seniors finished their graduation requirements and have been given diplomas. I actually finally got to give one to a student who came back in, and that was kind of nice because you can just see how much it means to those students. And I found that anywhere I've been, a student that has to come back and finish, or a student who really takes it the hard way, they understand just how valuable a high school diploma can be, and the fact that it is a launching pad for the rest of their lives, and that's really exciting. And always understand, we're taking people who would be dropped out or have dropped out, and more than 70% of them are getting a high school diploma. So they're going from 0% to 70% in terms of what these students have. And that's tremendous. And that's a real good, strong reflection on the staff, and a huge reflection on the perseverance and the grit of the students. And I admire the fact that they have been doing that. Some of the challenges that we have students who come to us, they've had attendance issues, and sometimes we are giving them attendance contracts so we can make sure that they understand, and there's something about signing their name to something that really helps them to stay with something. We have a lot of young mothers, young fathers, and what's really nice is when the young fathers are also saying, yeah, I'm doing this for my child. And they get that, and they want to be a part of their child's life. Sometimes it's just an incompatibility with classroom settings. They have holes in their learning. They have depression, low self-esteem, anxiety. They've had difficulty with MCAS. We have a lot of homeless students, and so the McKinney-Vento work that we have to do is tremendous. They've dropped out of high school, or they want to drop out of school. And so there's all kinds of stuff. And then we have students who literally, in order for them and their families to survive, they have to work. And so they work and they work tremendous hours, and then they come in and do several hours with us after they're done working. And, sometimes you can see it. It's been a tough day, and, you sort of prod them and encourage them, and they pick themselves up and they do it. Sometimes it's a matter of they're escaping from bullying. They have hunger issues. The fact that we get lunches delivered to the school and they're available to the students right through the evening is huge, because in a lot of cases, that is their big meal. And we want to make sure that it's as filling as possible. And the food services does a tremendous job of what they have. And there's always enough fruit for them. And if there's stuff left over at the end of the night, they're certainly welcome to take it. And a lot of students take advantage of that. We also have a food pantry that we've made available for students so that they can get some basic foods, and also clothing, especially like if students need to be able to dress up a little bit for an interview. We get donations, and a lot comes from the staff for students so that they can have a shirt that looks nice, or a tie, or some nice pants or shoes, and that's really important. And as we network out, that's something we want to make the community aware of. Is there's a lot of ways that people can help out, and it's not just it's not just cash, though that's nice too. Food, clothing, et cetera, because these are kids who don't have a whole lot in a lot of cases. And, the young mothers, their children might only have a couple outfits, and we try to make sure that there's stuff for them. And so, we grapple with the emotional side, sometimes the behavioral side, as well as the educational side, and the staff really does a great job. As I pointed out, we have a really, really dedicated staff. I was nervous about saying my staff is probably the best staff in town. When there was a whole gauntlet of people here, I was not going to say that. But I feel pretty good about saying it now. These people really get it, and they really push for it. We have small learning groups, which helps a lot, so that we can target what's going on with them. The instruction in a lot of cases is very individualized, especially in the mathematics. The teacher who's teaching mathematics right now has something specific for each student in his classes. And, some of the classes that he has are pretty large, but he is still able to do that. We have credit recovery plans for them so that they can make up the credits that they've missed the first couple of years. We have job coaching, college placement, constant encouragement, and like I said, there's an adult match for them everywhere, so that we can say, is there someone in the building you trust, and we know we're going to get a yes. So it's a really good place for them to have that last chance, but the staffing is key. And we target when to pull them out of class to get some extra help from special needs or tutoring, and we try to help them with the other parts of their life, so that you're not worried about am I going to eat today. You're not worried about, do I have something to wear tomorrow. So when you take away a lot of those worries, they can focus on the academics. Our kids do a lot of community service on Fridays. We have probably the park across the street from our school is probably the best kept park in the city. And we're working at expanding that, finding some other places for us to go. So, and our students are really happy to do that. They throw themselves into it, and it's fun. I've gone out there a couple of times with them, and, they get mad when they see some of the same things over and over again. These are some of the courses that we offer, and I think you all have that. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of stuff for a small staff. And a lot of times, like bioethics might be meeting at the same time as biology, might be meeting at the same time as physics. And Ms. Gogan, the science teacher, is able to go and work with all that. And she's able to spend an appropriate amount of time with each student, guide them into what they're supposed to be learning, and then work with the other students, and then try to pull it all together. And it's pretty impressive what she's able to do. She's also able to help them find things that pull all the things together in terms of videos and such, so that all the students get it. So there's a lot of stuff, that the students are exposed to. This is one of the Friday workshops that we're able to have. Chef Dave from Food Services is able to come over. I've sent an email today saying, can you come back again, because the kids really like it. He teaches them some basics about cooking so that they can understand, here's some things that you can do with some very basic ingredients and make it taste a little bit differently than what you're used to. And the kids like it. because it again, you know, if you have a limited amount of things to cook, it's always good to find ways to do that. I'm looking forward to finding some new ways to scramble eggs, et cetera, because you know, it's just something new. And you know, the Friday workshops are very important for the kids to give them that variety. We have a lot of value added. We have service opportunities, job placement assistance, college placement. We get the cooking seminars, college and military visitors. Colleges are regular visitors to our school, and the kids take good advantage of that. We have the clothing is a thing called the hidden closet. No questions asked. Kids are able to go in there and take what they need. We also I finished an agreement with DCU today. They're going to come in on several Fridays over the course of the year and do financial literacy with our kids. This is a free set of modules that they're going to be able to do, teach them about establishing credit, balancing a checkbook. I'll pay close attention to that one. You know, and just other things. And I asked the kids, what are some of the workshops that you want? What are some of the workshops that you don't want? And so they helped me pick those. And so DCU is going to be bringing them what they want. And so we're kind of excited about that, and I'm looking for other opportunities for that. In fact, I think today somebody from the Revolving Museum, I think, is it?
Yes, yeah.
Contacted me, and he's going to be coming in this Friday to talk to students about a project that he wants to do with our students with that. And so the kids are going to be getting a special bonus on Friday, and maybe see how they can contribute to the art in Fitchburg and making Fitchburg look nicer. And so that's kind of exciting too. And again, here's our well-kept park and some of the students who take care of that. One nice thing, we had 12 students in terms of the MCAS. MCAS came out fairly well. We had 12 students participate in the MCAS bio. 3 were rated as proficient, 6 needs improvement. 3 are going to be retaking the test soon. My science teacher, Ms. Gogan, wanted me to point out about 20 students took the bio MCAS in last February, and several of them even scored in the advanced range. And so she was very proud of that, and she wanted to make sure that you heard it from me. So now you've heard it from me. And so, you know, we're pretty pleased with that. And the students who have to do the retake, they know they do. They're getting ready for it, and I think they'll be ready for what comes up. In terms of the MCAS math, 26 students participated in as 10th graders this past year. 3 students were rated as advanced, 7 as proficient, 13 needs improvement, and 3 students will have to retake it. So, you know, Mr. Livingston is dealing with students with tremendous holes in their mathematics, and he's able to get them to a point where even the students who have to retake, we're pretty darn close. And so, you know, that makes him feel really validated, and it also makes it a lot easier for us to let kids know we're going to get you there. In ELA, really nice is the last set of things. All the students that took ELA last year for us passed.
Yay.
And we're very pleased about that. 3 were advanced, 26 proficient,
Wow,
and
that's
7 needs
huge
improvement.
number of
That's
proficient.
huge,
That's-
yes.
yeah.
And so both our English teachers are very proud about that. We are going to be looking at MCAS data tomorrow as part of our professional development, and we're going to be looking where the areas are we strong, where the areas are we less strong, and what can we do about that. And I think some of it has to do with making sure that kids know certain vocabulary of English, certain vocabulary of math, because more often than not, if a student's struggling, they don't know exactly what that word might mean. Like we had trouble with a question on MCAS that had to do with synonyms and antonyms. And it's like, okay, that's something, okay, let's stress some of those literary terms and devices a little bit more in our English, and that's one more question that those students are going to be able to answer. Chances are they're not going to ask synonyms and antonyms again, but let's get that, you know. And I found that at other schools I've been, in Norton we had a group of students that really did badly on an MCAS, and it's because they didn't know what parallelism was. So it's like, guys, we need to teach these things. And once they did, once those became points of emphasis, the kids felt a lot better about looking and accessing the materials. So we're excited about that. And for the first time, we actually had a big enough cohort in math and English that we got a chart. So there's our chart. And we English language arts, what was really nice is to have a 95.5 CPI.
Right.
The 82% of the students proficient or higher, that big fat 0, which was better than the state. And, in mathematics, they did fairly well with an 80 CPI. And, we compare, we're doing a fairly good job of getting ourselves where we need to be with that as we get more and more preparation for it. And again, as we break down the test and look at the data from the tests, that's going to inform our instruction a lot more in terms of, all right, where are there specific areas that we're less strong on? How do we emphasize that? And understand a lot of these kids are taking a math class in 60 days. And so that's really, really accelerated, and these kids are working hard to get there. This is a Goodrich emblem that one of our students had made as an art project, and all of our seniors this year are getting their pictures taken next to that as for sort of their senior pictures, and we're pretty proud of that. We had 4 Adams Scholars that we gave their letters to last week. Ayanna Broder Edmonds, Kara Jones, Judy Nguyen, and Deja Smith. They are students who came to us and took the MCAS, and so we feel some of the ownership for those, and we were very, very happy to give them those letters, and they were really excited to be able to get up and get applauded for.
Ray,
So-
can you explain, for people at home, what an Adams Scholar
For those
is?
of you at home, an Adams Scholar is the top 25% of the students at any given school in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, who, in terms of MCAS scores, receive a John and Abigail Adams Scholarship, which is paid tuition to state colleges, universities, and community colleges. And, one thing that has been pointed out a lot is Massachusetts scores the highest of all, in terms of all the standardized tests in the country. And if Massachusetts was by itself, we'd be the 5th best scoring country in the world. So when a student scores very highly on the MCAS, they are exceptionally strong in those areas. And so these are students who are going to be able to compete at college and in life. And, we expect all of our students are, but these students have this demonstrated capacity to do that. And so we stress with them, please make sure, even if you're not going to a state college or university, let them know you got an Adams Scholarship, because it means something, and it means a lot to anybody who knows about education and any of the standardized tests that go on. So we're really, really proud of those kids. Apparently, I missed this, but they did the ALS challenge last year. I did it myself somewhere else, and I remember feeling a similar way. But a lot of it is just nice spirit. Our goals for this year: improving attendance rates. That's key. And a lot of what I talk about with kids who are coming in is, let me see your attendance and let's talk about that, because bad attendance or decreasing attendance is really one of those alarms about somebody who's likely to drop out. And how do we help you turn that around? We're getting the marquee boards. They've poured the footings. They've run the electrical lines. So we are ready for the marquee board. And we're talking with the students about what are some of the things you want to see up there and what's important to you. We want to increase enrollment of students who need what we offer. And hopefully we'll be able to sell our product when we're having the information sessions the next 2 weeks. We're trying to develop new community partners, the Revolving Museum. I talked with a person from Mount Wachusett Community College who we're trying to work out the use of the van that they have over at Fitchburg High School, but she also runs their K through 12 program. So I'm like, okay, let's see what else that they can do for us and that we can do with them. And I think any opportunity that I have to talk with people from the community, come in, be part of our school council, give us some service opportunities, give us some opportunities for our students, and as much as possible, one-stop shopping with these people, so that I'm not bothering them too much, but we're able to get some of the things we need. We want to. We've started a student council, and we're trying to make that a positive force in the school. We want to work on blended learning, which is the use of online tools along with the classroom. And Play-Doh is the instrument that the district uses, but there's a lot of other things out there. We're going to start with Play-Doh, and we're doing some PD on Play-Doh tomorrow. And then that's going to be ongoing throughout the school year. But we also want to see what else is out there that our teachers can use to enhance the learning of our students and also enhance their own practice. And, I think the more that we find out, and Superintendent Ravenel has alluded to some sources that were available at the MassQ conference, and we're going to try to take advantage of those as much as possible, because a lot of those things are free. It's just a matter of learning how to access them and getting our teachers trained properly on them. Using MCAS data, and again, we're using that PD tomorrow. We're going to work at making better, and these are all from our state school improvement plan from that was effective last year. Making better use of rubrics for assessing student learning so that it's consistent and students know why they're getting what they get. And we're getting new projectors, document cameras, and other technology into the school. You guys approved that money, I think, at the last meeting that I was at, and so we're very excited about it. And part of the Play-Doh training is to let them start using that technology and make sure that it's part of everything that we do, but not what we do. We want these to be good tools for us as opposed to the show. So, any questions? This is a time capsule that was buried out front of our school. That's some of the things that our students wanted to put in there. Not sure about the Five Guys hat. But we were very worried when they started digging for the marquee board that they might strike it, but they missed it. And so that will be there whenever it's due to open. And this is what our graduating class looks like. And that's always a good way to close any presentation. Any questions?
You're enjoying it so far?
I love it. It is doing what it needs to do. And any school that's meeting its mission is a very, very good place to work. And the kids are very nice. They come to my office all the time. They I guess they wellness check me. And when I see them in the classrooms and when I'm subbing and stuff, they're really receptive, and they're very straightforward and honest. And the teachers really care. And we had a staff meeting on Friday, and we got through the agenda, and then after that we just hung out and talked and shared for another 45 minutes, and it was really nice to get to know them a little bit better and get a real sense of them, and hopefully them me. So it's kind of nice.
When you mentioned the numbers in the beginning about how many are Fitchburg students and how many are school choice,
Yep.
and then you said you're enrolling now, so those will change. Do you mean that we're going to get more students, or do you mean the composition's going to change?
The composition's going to change a little bit because some of the students who are seniors will finish their credits, and then they'll wait till June to graduate. For the most part, though, every trimester we try to bring in more students because, again, it's the beginning of new classes. Mm-hmm. And right around the time of progress reports, people start calling, and then now this is the end of the first quarter for a lot of schools, and so they're calling. And it's a matter of, Fitchburg High School does a really good job there's a referral process, and stuff has to get signed by the guidance counselor and by the principal to make sure that they think that it's a good match, and we're working really hard to honor that. We want to try to sort of build that up with some of the other schools, because I want to make sure that we know what we're getting. And it's going to be someone who's going to be benefiting from our atmosphere and adding to it as opposed to upsetting it. And part of the screening process that we're going to be using is to make sure is this person here for the right reasons. So we look at attendance, we look at grades, we look at discipline, we look at all kinds of stuff, just to get a sense of can we meet this student's needs. And the special ed department is going to be coming by to help us with that process to make sure that if a student is coming in on an ed plan, is Goodrich the right place for them, because we have only limited amounts of accommodations that we can make, and so that we're going to be working hand in hand with them. So again, the district really does a good job at helping make sure that Goodrich is on target for what we need to do, particularly with the Fitchburg students, and that's our primary area of service, and we're glad to help any students from other districts who need what we're able to offer. Yes.
This spring, the Alumni Association from Fitchburg also includes Goodrich Academy and its award program.
Yes, we're aware of that. We're promoting it. Yep.
And I've been involved with that for several
Thank you
years.
for that. And you'll be getting some applications as soon as 2 weeks from now. All right, because, as we tell them, if you can get a scholarship for $200 and it takes you an hour to do it,
We
that's
don't
like,
do scholarships.
well, and awards too.
We
But,
do
yeah,
awards.
And the awards, and it's always good to get a trophy or a plaque and
But no,
and notice.
let's just, we do awards,
Yep.
and it goes directly to the students.
Yep.
And it's not counted towards scholarships at the college of choice.
Okay.
So
Say no more.
we should.
But it's the kids appreciate anything that anybody from the outside does for them because they've had to make do with not very much for most of the time they've been in school, and their parents really care for them, and they've been really good when we're talking with them on the phone. But sometimes they're as lost as their children are, and part of us is to try to make them feel good about themselves too.
Okay, well, thank you, Ray. Really appreciate it. We had our cabinet there this morning, so it was a great chance for us to talk to Ray and say, okay, how's it going now? And so that was good.
It was fun,
So-
and you're always welcome.
All right, so next we're going to have Martha is going to come up and present about Rheingold.
So Mrs. Wiley is unable to make it today. She is sick and on the verge of walking pneumonia. So she sends her regrets for being unable to attend. So it is just Kelly and I tonight. And I'm thrilled to be in front of you. And very excited to be in front of you as the principal of Rheingold. It's been a wonderful start to the year. And it's going to be a wonderful whole year. So, you have your packet. Go under open file. Go under open folder. Yeah, go to that.
I'm a Mac person, so.
And go to Martha. Go to Martha.
Got it.
And then just click on the one that's there. There's only one there.
Okay.
Are the kids still staying healthy at Rheingold?
And then make it big. Well, yes, we've got a bug going around, as I think at all schools. So staff and students are certainly having a hard time with the bug, but our attendance is still good. Okay, so thank you. And this is our 15-16 school year presentation. Our 1-year goals and our 3-year goals. I met with the leadership team over the summer, and you see there's a slide about that coming up. And in one of our summer meetings, we came up with our 1-year and our 3-year goals. And our 1-year goal was made not only from test scores and also a survey that I did when I first took the job. I sent out a survey when I was still here at Memorial and got that information back and used that survey as well as input and the test scores to make up our goals for 1 year. And our 3-year goal is to be named a level 1 school and to maintain that proficiency and to close the achievement gap. Okay? So how we started this year, I talked about our 2-day summit. The first thing we did in that summit was come up with our core values. Who are we as a school? We didn't have core values. So we came up with our core values. We then looked at our current vision and mission statement and said, okay, does this vision and mission statement match our core values? And we found that it did not. So we rewrote the core values, the mantra, the vision, and the mission over those 2 days. And we're real proud of that. And we think that speaks volumes as to who we are at Rheingold and what we're doing for children at Rheingold School. That was day 1. Day 2, and that went day 1 into part of day 2. Day 2, we talked about climate and culture. And one of the pieces of climate and culture that were very near and dear to staff was discipline and behavior. So in order to first talk about discipline and behavior, we wanted to come up with what are the expectations. What do we expect children? They need to know what they're expected to do in all areas of the school before we can start to enforce that. So we used a PBIS-like approach, and we came up with an expectation chart with our CARES. And CARES is what we talk about all day, every day. Not all day, every day, but those are our expectations: cooperation, act responsibly, respect, empathy, and self-control. And that's what those look like in each area of the school. So we have that around the school. We're getting posters made for every classroom, so everybody knows what they are expected, how they're expected to behave. So we go into our 14 data. This is our 15 data was not available yet, so that's a score of our 14 value, 14 data. And our focus areas for this year: our school climate and culture, academic proficiency, meeting the social and emotional needs of students, decreasing discipline referrals and increasing safety, and then increasing parent communication. And then this is how we're going to do that. So for academic proficiency, we talk about our START team. Our START team is our RTI team to help meet the needs of struggling students. Our focus this year is on data, looking at data when those children are referred to us, and keeping data over time on the interventions that we are putting into place to see if those interventions are working or not working, and making decisions based on that data. So that's a little bit different from what was done in the past. In reading, I won't go through everything because you've seen it, but in reading we've got a focus on professional development. We've got the new district curriculum tools that are being used. We have a new intervention tool that's being used along with our other tools. So we have one more strategy in our toolkit, if you will, for our Title I teachers. Our monthly grade level meetings, GLM is grade level meetings. So every Tuesday, teachers are meeting in a grade level meeting. The first Tuesday of the month is the ELA coach. The second Tuesday is the math coach. The third Tuesday is their grade level meeting where they submit an agenda. And then the fourth is with us as an admin team. And that's every month. And our parent literacy nights. In math, we have Eureka Math in all grades, so now it's consistent. We did a half-day PD. That PD day in September was devoted to Eureka Math. We're talking in all grades about math nights. We have the district math night, but we'd like to have curriculum nights in all grades, so we're talking about how that's going to roll out throughout the year. The GLM, and then continued use of math special. We have one of our specials. We have 6 specials classes, art, music, PE. One of them is a math class. And then in writing, we're continuing with a writing workshop, emphasis on writing about reading, and again, sending teachers to PD to continually make sure that we're doing what we're saying we're going to do. Next is special ed.
Special education, we're focusing on co-teaching this year to offer professional development to our general educators and special educators to collaboratively plan lessons together so that students have full exposure to all grade level content at their modified entry and access points. The state, of course, is pushing towards more inclusion, and we find that when our teachers are working together to support student learning, the gains made are greater. Our teachers are attending the CPAC meetings, the Special Ed Parent Advisory Council. They're holding a meeting in November right at Rheingold School. They'll be hosting that. They continue, all of them are working on their professional learning goal to increase communication with parents, increase modalities so that there are alternate ways of communicating with all of our parents and families. We're focusing on specialized instruction in the general education classroom. We do have a group meeting with all of our special educators on Friday mornings, but they meet with me individually to talk about goals, to talk about their caseloads, any hot cases, situations that need to be attended to. And that's been a better means of communication with that one-on-one support so that we can promote support and monitor excellence. We have a weekly Learning Perspectives program meeting. That's our substantially separate program at Rheingold for our students with emotional and behavioral challenges. And then I already mentioned the weekly SPED staff meeting with the entire SPED teaching staff. So we're very fortunate in our co-teaching endeavor. We're working with retired consultant Deb Brady, whom you probably know through last year. All of the administrative team worked with her through Rebus Associates to train us in educator evaluation. She has years of experience and knowledge, and she has adopted our school and actually comes to work with us free of charge, which is a great plus.
So in climate and culture, Martha and I formed a climate committee this summer, and that climate committee, we meet with them every single month. And many of our changes here in school, in this section, are because of that committee, are things that we talk about in that committee. Last year we had morning meeting with the whole school. This year we have grade level morning meetings. So they're just, it's a smaller group. It's not as loud, it's not as chaotic. The teachers are finding that to be great for school climate and culture because the students are really enjoying that small group of just their grade level. So that's once a month. The homeroom teachers' duties and morning routine. Last year, the children came in, and until 8:25, they were in the cafeteria or in the gym. So we'd have grades K through 2 in the cafeteria and 3 to 4 in the gym. What we did this year is that we changed it so all teachers have morning duty. So children come in at 8:05, they go right to their homeroom. And the teachers find that they come in calmer, they're ready to learn, they have time to get ready to learn, as opposed to being in the cafeteria where you've got 300 other children. So they really like that. We have a safety patrol that were just inducted 2 weeks ago, I believe. So that's been great for a role model. They're role models, and they'll be doing other things besides being safety patrol, and Matt Puma's helping me with that. We have a monthly Spirit Day every Friday. The first Friday of every month is Spirit Day, so we all dress in our gear. Our PTO collaboration, they have a school store, which is brand new. They've got events every single month, which have record attendance and have made record amounts of money this year. And our PBIS, which is the expectation chart that I already showed. We also have what's called a CARES celebration, so the morning meeting. So typically, kindergarten morning meeting is Monday, and first grade morning meeting is Tuesday of the month, their one time of the month. That afternoon, they have what's called a CARES celebration, which is a short celebration for children who have earned their way in. And the grade level figures out what that looks like. And then at the beginning of the next month, they start from scratch again. So it can be focused on responsibility. This month, our trait of the month is responsibility. So those children that are showing responsible behavior consistently, they can have a few dips and rolls because they're children, but they consistently earn their way in. Next is social and emotional needs of students. At the classroom level, last year we had one box of Second Steps, one kit per grade. This year the central office was wonderful enough to buy us a kit for every homeroom. So every single homeroom has its own kit, and it's used at least 2 times a week in morning meeting. And we're finding really good success with that. The teachers enjoy it, the kids enjoy it, it's making a difference. Continued use of strategies, guidance lessons during morning meeting. Our 2 new adjustment counselors and our guidance counselor go into morning meeting and do guidance lessons. They work with the teachers to do that. We also have classroom incentive programs that the teachers are working through. At the school level, we have our 2 new positions this year. We have 2 new adjustment counselors. Not only are they working with individual students, but they're running groups. So they have anger management groups and stress reduction groups and social groups, grades 1 through 4, that they've just gotten their permission slips back and are starting to see those children. We also have a greater collaboration with outside agencies this year. We're working towards that. We have 3 new outside counselors this year at Rheingold, one of which is here 5 days a week, all day long, every day, for students to get counseling services. They sign up, they do outside counseling inside our school. We have the Family Resource Center here, half a day every Tuesday for parent support. They do a parent support group that will start next week, and they do a student anxiety group that will start next week. We also have Caring for Kids, which several other schools have. That's our backpack program on Fridays. We do the trait of the month. And our PD focus area, one of those areas is on social and emotional needs. So we had Arthur Baxter who's a psychologist at Longzhou, to talk to us last month about meeting the needs of students. And this month, in November, we have Susan Loring, who's the director of the Autism the Autism Resource Center in Central Massachusetts. She's going to come and talk about working with children on the spectrum and meeting the social and emotional needs of students. We also have, as a tier 3, tier 2, is that our adjustment counselors are using a program called Superflex, and that's Marcia Garcia Winner. And she talks about, which is good for small groups, and one of the adjustment counselors is piloting it in 2 third-grade classrooms. But it talks about being flexible in your thinking. And it teaches children how to be flexible in their thinking, how to recognize when they're not flexible in their thinking. So these are the different characters here. Are they rock brain and they just can't move forward? Are they glass man, where they're shattering at everything? So they have all these different characters they learn to recognize. And they learn what to do when they recognize they're behaving like that character to get back to Flex Man and be able to think flexibly and think, okay, it's okay. I don't have to have a tantrum. It's okay. We also are going to start a program. The teachers are going to training called BOX, which is Build Our Kids' Success. It's a before-school program. And the premise is you get the body moving and the mind moving, and we're ready to learn. So it's especially designed for ADHD kids. We're not using it for only ADHD kids. We're rolling it out to lots of kids that have a hard time sitting still. They use it at Ashby Elementary School, and have seen great success with it at Ashby Elementary School. So we'll start right around after Christmas, and we'll do it 3 mornings a week. So decreasing discipline referrals and increasing safety. The first thing is that drop-off and pick-up procedures. We've changed the way that we drop off and pick up, and it has made a difference as far as safety goes. We have a follow-up meeting in November to talk to parents and get their feedback on how they think it is going. Again, the safety patrol, our CARES programs, our new staff, increasing parent communication. And I just can't say enough about how wonderful our PTO is this year and how hard we have all worked, the school and the PTO, to really communicate, and how the staff is getting involved. We had staff. This is a staff member and our child. At the Halloween dance, we have staff getting involved, and it's really made a difference. Next are just accountability slides from last year, because we don't have data for this year. But if you fast forward to the last slide, that shows just one example of where we are now. And these are the running record levels of this fall compared to this same time last year. And as you can see, our percentages at or above, and at or above, are pretty significantly higher, which means that the work done last year was great work. They did great work last year, and we need to continue that work and move forward. So, we are looking forward to continuing our great start to the year.
Questions or feedback from Martha?
Thank you, Mrs. Clark. I volunteer as I'm able to at Rheingold. It is always a pleasure to go to the school. I've always felt it was a school that was very. All of our elementary schools are child oriented in that there's a lot of empathy in staff, and I see that you're really you're emphasizing I guess both sides of the brain in the support for teachers that you're doing. What are some of, there's so much that you said that I want to follow up with you. The Family Resource Center here, half a day every Tuesday for parent support group and student anxiety group. That's new to me. Can you talk a little bit about specifically what that is?
Sure. We have Marlon, and I can't remember his last name. Perez. Marlon Perez comes in half a day, and he's going to run a support group. For parents, they have a program. It's a support group program for parents who have trouble with homework with their children, have trouble settling their children at night, have trouble with their children following directions at home, have trouble supporting their children behaviorally. So it's a support group open to any parent. He's bilingual, So he'll do Spanish and English. And then he also has an anxiety program for children. So he's going to run an anxiety group for children. We have permission forms and those kinds of things for children who display high anxiety and whose parents are concerned about high anxiety and who we see have high anxiety.
I think one of the most wonderful evening programs I went to last year, Paula, you'll remember the title. It was it was teaching parents exactly what the kids are learning and how they're learning it, and it was at the Literacy Parent Academy. The Literacy Parent Academy, and it seems like the Family Resource Center, with what you're describing, I can imagine that would be a great service to parents who maybe can't come during the day, and maybe can we think about maybe offering that in the evening sometime for parents? I know that that's certainly an issue in my household, ascertaining first whether homework has been assigned, and once we know that it has, then how do we help you do this? So
we asked if he would do an evening parent group, and he just could not. But I think maybe a one time would be, I could ask that he do that.
Or if that's something where there needs to be, funding for it. I know that the parents who came to the academy were just bowled over at that experience. And the more we can teach parents to do, to support their child as a student, the more benefits. So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, thank you, Martha.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming. I'm just going to take one quick out of order here. Ray Cassenda's here, just going to be a couple of minutes. There's an installation going on at the football field, and I just wanted him to inform you of it. It's underway, I think.
It will be tomorrow.
It will be tomorrow.
Thank you, and thank you for giving me a few minutes. I had, after Thanksgiving last year, some alumni approached me with an interest of honoring Marco Landon, a former teacher and educator and coach in Fitchburg Public Schools. And I listened to them, and I thought it was probably a good idea after his 33 years of teaching and coaching and all the time he spent at Crocker. So I was just trying to figure out a way to do that was appropriate. And through a small committee, we came up with an idea of just placing a granite bench behind the scoreboard, which is fairly close to where the Alva Crocker Memorial is, and to make sure that we made sure it was handicap accessible. Dave Brooks, who does that for a living, has agreed to make a small 9-foot circular patio that will abut the track, so this bench will be handicap accessible for anyone who wants to come and see it. And again, it's a small way of us just honoring his memory. I think, it's appropriate. And the goal would be to put a light behind the scoreboard, so at night games there'll be a light on that area so that any things that are back there, whether it be the Crocker Memorial or the bench for Marco, will be able to be seen by the public. And the goal would be, we have this beautiful, I've been in the school system for 27 years and just recently looked at it up close. I believe it's a World War II memorial up on the hill that most people don't even know about. So the goal will be to eventually move that down to that area too, so it's in the place where people can see it and enjoy it. So that's my request. Dave will begin the patio tomorrow, and the goal is to unveil it at halftime on Thanksgiving and have his family come down, and it'll be a small ceremony right at halftime of the game.
So it's not an action item, and there are no funds. You're not allocating. Usually when somebody sits there, it's because we're going to be allocating some funds. But I just thought that it was just appropriate to kind of let you know that this is going on, that this is another donation from some of our alumni, and it's really going to enhance that area. So.
Ray mentioned we are Crocker Field Restoration Committee, which Ray's a big part of. Relocating some of the monuments that are there, or maybe around the scoreboard area, and because they're kind of scattered around, some people don't know about them, and particularly this, the monument was for the 1940 president of class at Fitchburg High School, who was killed in Iwo Jima, and the monument honors all the veterans who served in the armed forces from Fitchburg High School, and we're going to move that from up on the hill where it's hidden down in a more prominent position. So that's one of the things that the committee's been working on. So,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
thank you, Ray.
And last but not least, Jonathan and his team here to talk to you about what's happening at South Street Elementary School.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us tonight. To the left of me, I have my assistant principal, Mr. Jeff Dion. And far down, I have a new face for you. This is Mrs. Kat Craven. Kat Craven is the new student program support administrator at South Street School. Before becoming the student support administrator, she was a special education teacher at South Street for 5 years, working for with the 3rd and 4th grade students who had some severe special education needs. Kat, is there anything you'd like to share with the school committee?
I am just super excited to be part of this team. It's been a very easy transition, but it's interesting to see things from a whole new perspective. So this has been a very eye-opening year for me so far.
And let me tell you, she always used to be a person who used to come down and ask about my decisions and why I did something. Now she's on the other side, and now she sees it. So now it's actually nice to have
She has
her
to answer
working.
the question.
Now yes, and she says, now I see why you made that decision before. So it's nice to see having her see the other side. So again, thanks for having us tonight. We're going to go over all our current initiatives in each of these areas tonight. I'll try to be quick. Sometimes I talk a little too much, but if there's any time if I'm talking too fast or need me to clarify anything, please ask me to do so. So the first area I'd like to talk about is reading. So again, you see we're continuing to implement the reciprocal teaching strategy in reading. This has been up there, I think, for the last 3 years. Comprehension continues to be our focus in reading at South Street, and it continues to be a big need for us at South Street. If I fast forward to the next slide, I'll explain to you why. Because we don't have any MCAS or PARCC data yet, these are our grade scores from September. So we gave this grade is actually a reading assessment test, and one of the areas that it focuses on is comprehension. And if you look up here, these are our comprehension scores that were giving. The test was given in the second week of September, and these are our scores. And as you can see, when kids come back from vacation in the summer, their comprehension significantly decreases. So again, based on these results, this is why we continue to focus on reading comprehension. We don't want word callers. We want kids to be reading for meaning. So that's why we really, truly do focus on comprehension. And why we picked reciprocal teaching. Reciprocal teaching is one of the best reading strategies out there for comprehension. And what it is, it focuses on predicting, questioning, clarifying, and summarizing. There are really 4 big comprehension strategies you need to read. So we really teach the kids how to use those strategies. The teacher begins by modeling those strategies during a read aloud, and then she breaks it down into small groups and focuses on small groups of kids working on that strategy. And then when the kids are reading independently, either with themselves or a partner reading, we look for those kids using those strategies. So we do see gains by the end of the year, but unfortunately, when they do come back, we see a lot of decrease in their comprehension from the summer. So it's an area that we continue to work on. Some other things that we're talking about this year that are new, reading goal setting. One of the things that we've done with working with all our grade level teachers is actually set 2 reading goals for every child in their classroom. And that's really important because we want to make sure the kids know exactly what they're working on in reading and let them know that these goals, they can be achieved. So these goals were set in the beginning of September after the teachers have looked at all the assessments and actually observed their students' reading. So they set those reading goals, and we're continually conferencing with students to make sure they are working on those goals and meeting those goals. And those goals will change throughout the year. They won't focus on the same 2. We hope that we can change kids' goals frequently after 2 or 3 or maybe 4 weeks. one of the things that we are doing is we're using the Fontes and Pinnell Literacy Continuum to identify reading behaviors. So, and to do that, what we do, one of the assessments that we give is called a running record, which is just a quick assessment on how kids are reading. And what we do is we identify what level they're on. It ranges from A to Z. And what was great about this literacy continuum that we're working with is if let's say a child is on a P, there's actually, if we go into this book, there's actually a set of skills and strategies and reading behaviors that these kids need to have at reading at a P. So when we have a group of P's in front of us, kids that are reading on a P level, we know exactly what our teaching needs to focus on. So that's something new that we actually purchased this year, and it's actually helping us really be strategic with our reading instruction. Again, we are moving into exploring the Lucy Calkins reading units. You know that we are using Lucy Calkins writing units in K-4. We are now moving into piloting the Lucy Calkins reading workshop units in K-1. So far, the teacher feedback is very positive in K-1. I was actually fortunate enough on September 18th, I actually went to New York City and spent a day with Lucy and her colleagues to actually learn about the new reading program, and I was actually able to learn firsthand information and actually bring that back to my teachers. My reading coach also went with me, so it was actually a great way for us to bond, see what the new curriculum looks like, and make a plan of action and bring that back to our teachers. And then one of the pieces that what we found missing from, let me rewind a little bit. When a few years back, we actually moved away from our Scott Forsman Reading Street series that we had, a Basil series, and we actually moved back into Reading and Writing Workshop. And when we did that, one of the components that our teachers in K-1 really said that was lacking in our whole Reading and Writing Workshop model was a strategic way or a systematic way to teach phonics. So what we did this year is we actually purchased the Foundations program, which is from Wilson, well-known years of helping struggling readers become proficient readers. We bought that program for K-1, and we have seen gains in K-1 in the last, I don't know how many weeks we've been in school, maybe 4 to 5, 6 weeks now. The gains that we're seeing in K-1 are amazing. Specifically in first grade, we've had a couple students start off with a B, and I think they've all gone up 6 or 7 levels already, just because we're really systematically teaching them those skills and strategies they need for phonics, the decoding, breaking words apart. So this program is really helping us do that. So we're seeing a lot of changes. Again, that's our reading data for comprehension. This is a little bit of the breakdown of our reading data in grades 1 through 4. So that running record assessment, this is the breakdown. So you can see, again, our grades 1 and 2. This is the group that did not have that systematic phonics program in the last few years. So you can see we have a significant group of students that are well below grade level. So we're actually hoping that when we meet with groups, small groups, and really focusing on those skills and strategies that we need, we do see a jump in this. These kids will move. But unfortunately, when we test the first few weeks of school, our results do come out low. But you can see, we're very happy with our 3rd and 4th grade. Almost half are almost at grade level where they need to be at this point. So, any questions on that so far? No? Okay. The next slide is our writing. Again, we're continuing. This is year number 3 with our Lucy Calkins Writing Workshop series. So overall, it continues to be a great curriculum that we're using, great curriculum product. One of the things that we are noticing is that we are trying to build the teacher's capacity around conferencing. So the whole structure of Writing Workshop is the teacher starts out with a 5 to 10 minute mini lesson, and then the kids go off and practice their writing for about 30 minutes. During that 30 minutes, teachers actually go and try to conference with at least 3 students that day on specific skills and strategies that we need. One of the weaknesses that we see that teachers, well, not weaknesses, but they need continuous professional development on is that whole conferring piece. it's really hard, when you have only a few minutes to quickly read a student's piece of writing and actually pick out, okay, 1 or 2 things that I can quickly do a quick teaching point on, and then, make sure teach them and then move on to the next student. So we're working on that conferencing piece, because I think I know that will give us the biggest bang for our buck if we can really focus on being strategic on our conferences and giving that specific feedback to those students. Yeah.
Are you conferencing on lesson, like the 5 to 10 minute
Yep.
lesson, or are you
That's a good question.
conferencing on everything?
Yep, it depends. So some students, after that 10-minute mini lesson, some students actually go right in and actually apply that strategy to their writing. So some teachers may conference with those students on that specific strategy. Other students are not there yet. So other students may be working on a strategy that maybe they learned a few weeks back, maybe yesterday, but they're really fine-tuning it to what that specific student needs. So it's all different. And this is just an example of one of those, one of the mini lessons. This is an anchor chart that was created in a 3rd grade classroom. When I lose my focus as a writer, I can. So these are just ideas that students can actually go back and refer to as they're writing if they get stuck.
Can you read them all? Because I'm looking at this, and
I read that the other night, and I said, they can't see anything. The first one says, reread good writing that others have written to warm myself up. Look at the anchor charts to see if they give me an idea. Draw a quick sketch to help get my mind going. Set a goal for myself, like writing until I get to the end of a page or paragraph without stopping, and look into the strategies, ideas section of your writer's notebook. So those are all specific strategies that they are teaching the kids to do. And these anchor charts are actually left up through the entire unit.
Right.
So, like you asked, Jean, they may not be at that strategy, but when they are, it's still up there, so they actually can refer to it at any time during their writing.
Those are good for any age. I was really struck by those because I work as a writer, and my list of distractions includes polishing faucets and organizing paper clips. So this is great.
Well, I'm glad that anchor chart will help you in the future.
I appreciate that.
No extra charge.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
I'm glad we were able to teach you something tonight.
Lifelong learner.
Yeah,
always.
Right. So, as Martha mentioned, we are embarking on the Eureka Math implementation. Last year we did it in grades K and 2. This year we're doing it in all grades K to 4. We are running into some trouble a little bit, not trouble, but some roadblocks. It's really a different curriculum. So it's really different from what we're used to. A lot of my teachers were used to using the math workshop model, and this is very strategically laid out into exactly what they need to be teaching, and it doesn't really allow for a lot of that. So one of the 2 big components that we're really focusing on right now is fluency sprints. And the fluency sprints are really working on addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And you may remember it when you were in school, when your teacher handed you a paper and said, okay, you got a minute, quickly finish those facts. Or your teacher had you in front and you were quickly going over the flashcards with facts. It's similar to that, but there's a little bit more time involved to that, and there's actually a specific way that Eureka Math actually encourages you to actually implement the sprints. And what's really great about this program, we've been actually working a lot with this resource, is the online resource that math coaches have. You actually can log in, and the math resource actually, if let's say teachers are working on lessons 4, 5, and 6 that week, during our common planning time, they actually come and we actually show that quick clip of teachers or professionals that are talking about those 4 lessons to actually show you exactly what the fluency sprints need to look like, or exactly what concept development or that skill and strategy needs to look like for teachers to teach. And it's helping teachers actually kind of answer any of their misconceptions they may have about how a certain topic should be taught. And it's also actually allowing them to actually see how students are responding in that setting, and hopefully they can duplicate that with their students. So that math, those math resources on that website are very helpful. Also in math, we are working on kind of going over what a really standards-based lesson plan looks like, and actually looking at the parts as we plan during math. We wanted to start small. So that effective lesson planning is actually happening in math. So we're actually really diving deep, looking at learning targets, success criteria, the concept development, really breaking it down actually to what that should look like in a lesson plan. And then the last piece, one of the things that I did 2 years ago when I became principal was to create a data room for literacy. And that has helped us a lot when we come to meet about students and where their progress is. And one of the things that we are working on this year in coordination with my new math coach, Tim Robinson, is a math data wall. So we're hoping to actually, we met last week and we had teachers fill out all the information, and now we're looking at how we're going to represent that in our data room. So we actually can be really strategic when we're planning. And if you go to the next slide, this is just an example of our Galileo math assessment. And at the beginning of every school year, kids are given a math assessment on all the standards they will need to learn in math. And it gives us an idea of what kids already know about those standards. And this is just an example, and we're doing this with every grade. So our data wall in our room will look like this. This is all the data. These are all the standards that the students will be assessed on in the first benchmark near Thanksgiving. So this is our, we have these standards and the data for each child and how they did. It actually codes it green, yellow, and red. Very similar to what we do in literacy. And we're actually using that data to actually plan our instruction for those students to see how they're doing with these standards. So right now, the teachers have identified what students need really that immediate attention for these standards before that assessment comes up in November, and they're doing some reteaching on these areas. Mr. Dean.
Okay. So we're fortunate. All of our students in grades 1 through 4 are able to participate in LEGO engineering classes. Last year, we were awarded about a $5,000 grant from the Biogen Foundation, Ignite the Power of STEM. So with that money, we were able to purchase some LEGO We Do construction kits. So grades 3 and 4 are going to focus on robotics. Grades 1, they use the LEGO Basics engineering to problem solve. Grade 2 has been using the LEGO Simple Machines. The kids love it. It's a great hands-on instruction for the kids. They really get into it. It's been very successful so far. So we're very fortunate to be able to purchase more for this year and keep that program going. Next slide. You want to talk about science?
Yeah. So this is actually an example of the 3rd and 4th grade, the LEGO We Do robotics. So this is an example of 3rd grade classroom, I think. And what they had to do is they actually had to make the code for this robot to actually lift up its arm and kick the golf ball. So what the students did was they had it's a measuring tape in front of them. So their initial code, they set it all up. They hit enter. The robot launched itself. It kicked. And then what they had to do was then go back and rewrite that code to make it go further. So that's something that they've been working on.
Yeah, you can see the cord. It actually plugs into the computer, and there's a code that they write to make it move. It's pretty cool. And they're also doing a lot with coding. Grades 1 through 4, they're receiving instruction on coding. We use Scratch and code.org. Those are both websites that have kind of visual programming language where they can tell stories, they can program animation, make games. So the kids really enjoy that. They're also using Google CS, which is a free program that helps students access and give exposure to computer science education. So the kids really enjoy that as well. We're doing a lot with our Google Apps for Education, really trying to explore that and utilize that. Google Slides, Google Docs, Google Classroom. And in K-1, we're really trying to get the kids on the computer as much as possible, just exploring the computer, the keyboards, doing some basic word processing, trying to get them on as much as possible to develop those skills. Elementary's Honors Academy, we have a really strong STEM focus, the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It's a really hands-on learning. There's 100% participation in those classes. You get kids who may have behavior problems in a regular classroom. You get them in that setting where it's hands-on, and they do fantastic. They really do. They use the kits developed by the Museum of Science called Engineering is Elementary. So an example is Water is Everywhere kit. So students learn about environmental engineering, and they're going to build a water filtration system. And in the springtime, they plant and they grow tulips. And just as they get nice and beautiful, they cut them down and they dissect them. They examine the parts of the flowers, which is pretty neat. Yeah. Yeah, just when it gets beautiful, they cut it down. So.
Are those in those boxes?
Yes, you
Yeah.
walked by and seen them.
It's weeds right now.
Yeah. Oh, I wondered why they were there one day and then gone the next.
Yeah, just when they look nice.
You pick them.
Social studies. We incorporate social studies into our daily academics, especially into our reading and writing activities. The kindergarten's been learning about U.S. national holidays. They just learned about Columbus, Christopher Columbus, and now they can learn about the importance of Veterans Day. First grade's learning about local and state history. First grade's learning about history of Fitchburg, the geography of Fitchburg. Grade 2 is using the Massachusetts curriculum units on geography, land, and people. Grade 3 is learning about Massachusetts and its history. They're using Massachusetts, Our Home books. The kids love them. They're great books. Unfortunately, we only have one set of 25 books, so we have to share that between 5 third grade classrooms. So hopefully we can get some funds to purchase more of those, because they're fantastic books. The kids love them. In fourth grade, which I'm kind of excited about because I like to travel to national parks, is they're doing a U.S. National Parks Research Project, and that does align with the mass standards. I think it's standard 4.20. So the students are assigned a national park, and they have to research it and report out on it. So I told them to come by my office. I have lots of pictures in my office of different places I've been to. So excited about that.
So just, social studies I know was an area that we did a lot of discussion on last year. And this is, at no means are we experts here. This is something that we're really trying to focus and plan well thought out lessons for. And all these materials are new. So we continue to really understand the importance of social studies, and we're trying to make sure that we really get to that each day, or not each day, or a lot of teachers do science for 2 weeks and then switch off to social studies for 2 weeks, or maybe a month on science, a month on social studies. But we understand how important this is, and we're continuing to explore different ways to implement that.
Quick question, and of course I'm going to ask about the unit on local and state history. Are we doing this? We were doing this at Rheingold last year, the local history. Are we doing it at Rheingold this year? The local
First
history?
grade unit?
The first grade unit.
I think everyone is.
Is everyone?
I think we are. Yeah. I'll double check. As far as I know, we are.
Okay, so
Changed anything, so.
okay, good. So all of our first grades are getting a unit on local history. I just wanted to say
It
that
may
out
be
loud.
done at a certain different. It may be done at
Okay.
a different time of year. My first grades are planning that now and hopefully launching that after Thanksgiving break.
Okay, yeah, because I think last year, I know at Rheingold I saw it. I'm thinking it was late winter, spring. Is that right? Okay, as long as it's happening. I mean, Pete, really.
Yeah.
I'm yeah.
It's
Yeah.
going in all the great.
That's good. I mean, this is now that we're maintaining our buildings. This is now my obsession. So, thank you.
For PD, we're continuing to work with Bruce McDonald from DSAC. He's going to be coming in to do learning walks and lesson study. Our next learning walk is scheduled for November 10th. We're going to focus on student discourse and questioning. So that's where we get a group of administrators and teachers together, and we go to different classrooms. We're going to look at student discourse this time, really trying to get kids engaged in a conversation in classrooms, just thinking about their ideas and able to articulate their ideas, argue about them, disagree with them. So really trying to get kids to have conversations in the classroom. So we'll be doing that on November 10th. We've already done one lesson study with grade 2. We looked at a second grade math lesson. And our next one is in December. And we're going to be doing a first grade reading lesson with Bruce. We started the year off with Responsive Classroom. Over the summer, John purchased the book, The First 6 Weeks of School. So we really focused on developing classroom rules, school-wide rules, and really focused on that for the first 6 weeks of school. And it's made a huge difference this year. We do things like we have zero voice in the hall, which we weren't sure how it's going to work out, but it's fantastic. The kids know not to talk in the hallways. It's cut down on horseplay, fooling around, disturbing other classrooms. So it's really paid off. So teachers really focused on that for the first 6 weeks of school, which has been great. Let's see. We just recently did a half-day PD on learner targets and success criteria. So we want our teachers to post the learning targets in the classroom. It's what we want the kids to learn in the classroom. And the success criteria is the steps the kids can take to get there. And we want a kid-friendly language so the kids can actually read their objective on the board in the steps. So like by the end of the lesson, I'll be able to do this, and I'll know I've achieved my goal if I've done this, this, and this. So the kids can assess their own learning. It helps the teachers to assess the students' learning as well. So we're working on that. It's kind of a work in progress. It's new to a lot of teachers, so we're trying to go in the classrooms and support teachers with that.
And then we talked about this.
Yep.
The reading and writing units of study. Again, the Fitchburg Public Schools curriculum documents, those are updated, new every year, and we continue to work with them throughout the year. And then the Google Apps for Education, really making sure that teachers are really focused on using those Google Apps and making sure that students are taught how to use those Google Apps in their classes. Cap?
So I think something we try to work really hard on at South Street is getting the parents involved. Some of the things we start out the year with a big welcome back barbecue. It's always a really big hit. We have all of our kindergarten parents come in for orientation so they can kind of come in and see the classroom. For some of those kids, it might be their first time at school, so they get excited too to show their classroom off to other people. Open houses are a great way to get our parents involved. We have monthly school council meetings and PTO meetings. We actually just came from one today. My favorite one on the list right now is the Harvest Festival. We had a wonderful time. All of our kids came and they got dressed up, and we had a reading cafe where the kids got to order a book, and they had some cider and donuts. But there was one really good draw, and that was throw a pie at Mr. Thompson.
Aw.
We raised a lot of money that
He wouldn't let
night.
me put a picture up there, but the kids were super excited. The parents, they were so happy to show off their teachers.
at you?
Yeah. We raised over $200 that night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not real pie. You didn't waste
No, it
real
was
pie.
whipped cream.
Oh, thank
pies, yes.
John?
Wow.
Something I haven't asked, how are you making out with school councils citywide? You know,
This year, a little bit better turnout. We actually have a group of K parents that are, I tried to quickly grab as they came in the door during K orientation. I have a few more new faces on our school council. I actually have it right after PTO. Because I do have some people stay after. Some people leave, but other people come in for it. So I used to have 2 separate nights, but I actually have it right after PTO now, so I actually can have some more parents
council
stay.
either right before PTO meeting, right after is.
Yeah. So it's not, some people who want to come out, but they only can come out, one night a month. So I move those, both of those meetings to one night.
Sometimes your PTO, they're supposed to elect some members.
Yeah, they did.
And,
They did.
Usually that's a good time to do it.
Yeah, we
Get
did.
somebody hot, they
Yes.
get them in.
Well, in addition to doing some monthly newsletters, we're trying to keep up with the social media times. We have a Facebook page and a Twitter page, which Mr. Thompson tries to update every day. For safety and discipline, you spoke a little bit about responsive classroom already. We do the first 6 weeks of school. It's really getting the kids involved in creating those routines and those rules that they themselves are going to have to follow. We have a monthly character trait. Last month we had respect. This month we have responsibility. One of my favorite things that we do for all school assemblies is the kids, as they exhibit this respect or responsibility, this character trait, they earn rockets. And then during the assembly, we get to pick a rocket, and a student earns a prize. It's usually a book. But they get so excited because their name is in there, and they, they've done something good to earn that rocket. So it's really good to see them excited about doing a good job. Our Pathways classrooms use zones of regulation, which is a way for them to kind of be aware of self-regulation. Are they sitting quietly and calmly? They're in the green zone. Great job. You're doing what you need to be doing. But if you're maybe you're really tired and you're sleepy and you're in the blue zone, what could we do to get you back into that green zone? So it's a kind of a great way to teach our kids how to kind of get back into a learning moment. We also have some upcoming PD on the growth mindset. Right now, that's a a way to kind of show kids that learners can always improve. But you kind of have to believe it. You can't just think, oh, I can't do this. That's never going to work. You have to think positively. You have to think that if I work hard, I can improve. My intelligence can improve with effort. I just have to try. And it's important to teach our kids that, they can improve. Even though something might be tough, it's okay. They can still make progress no matter where they are. October was National Bullying Prevention Month. We had the PTO purchased this great pledge, which is actually on our next slide, where the staff and the students, they all signed this anti-bullying pledge, and then we put them up in the hallway, and it's easy for them to kind of, look back at it and say, yep, I know what it is. We're going to prevent bullying. I'm not going to stand by it and watch it happen. I'm going to stand up for somebody. It's kind of good. It gives them a sense of pride. We loved what Martha did with her morning arrival, and we have adopted something similar where the kids come in and they go right to their classrooms. They have quiet time if they need to finish their homework, do some reading with a teacher or a peer. It's really, really had an effect on our mornings. We don't have that hectic chaos in the morning anymore. It's all relax, come inside, and get ready for learning. So we like that. For special ed, we have the Pathways program at our school, which is for students on the spectrum. We currently have 36 students in those programs. Overall, we have about 162 SPED students. We're really pushing inclusion this year across the board. Research tells us that a student that's in a classroom with inclusion, they're going to perform much better on scores than if they're solely pulled out. So we're really trying to push that this year. We have Donna Simone, who comes in and talks with our teachers, gives our teachers strategies on what might work best for inclusion. We have 2 classes at each grade level that are inclusion classrooms. So they have a classroom teacher and an inclusion teacher, and that might look very different. You might have you might split the class in half and have two simultaneous classes going, parallel teaching. You might have one teacher teaching a large group, one teacher pulling a smaller group to the side. It's just a good way to get everybody involved and get that core academics. We have extra time for them to meet. Anytime we have a short week, like one of our half days this week, yep, they have time to plan with their inclusion teachers because to be effective as an inclusion model, you really have to have that time to collaborate with your gen ed teacher. We have 168 ELL students. Again, they're also being included, so keeping that in mind. And because of that, most of our teachers have already taken, the SEI, the retail courses. Most of them are already certified, but we kind of want to give some extra PD to make sure that those strategies are being implemented throughout the days. So that's kind of our goal with PD. In regards to technology, we are very lucky to have 5 Chromebook carts and 3 net carts. The students are very respectful with these. They know that this is something that they need to take care of. It's a privilege for them to use. We have computer pods in each class. The tricky part with that is they have a shelf life of about 5 years. So a lot of our 3 computer pods are starting to die right now. So we're trying to plan on how are we going to replace those because they're used so often. That being said, we did just get an upgrade in our library. All of our computers in there have been updated in our media center, so that's very helpful. Our kids are using these computers for Lexia for reading, Reading Plus, which is a comprehension program, 10 marks, and Extra Math, which is math, Scholastic News, which is great for, especially with our push for social studies. They're reading an article, they're answering questions online with headphones, or it's exciting current events, things that are more exciting for them sometimes to read. And then our final slide, my dear, we are very prideful at our school. We take a lot of pride in our community, and this is part of what we say every single day. Our school motto is, I will be respectful, responsible, kind, and safe to make South Street School a positive place. and we really mean it. So I enjoy that part of our morning.
Nice.
Do you have any questions for us?
Did you put out, you said you put out a weekly newsletter? Or?
We
Or-
is it monthly?
Right now. So I did a monthly newsletter every month last year. This year, what I did was I moved to doing hopefully every day. I try to get there every day, but doing Facebook and Twitter messages. So I'm doing like 2 months combined for a newsletter right now. So I'm doing 6 newsletters throughout the year, and then posting on Facebook and Twitter.
Did you put us on your?
Yes, I sent you the last month's. I'm working on this month's now, November, December. So hopefully I'm going to have that done by the end of next week.
Keep me involved with what's going on.
Absolutely,
in
I
the
can do that
schools.
for you. Yep. Any other questions?
Are you finding a lot of parents posting to Facebook?
So the way our Facebook's set up is they actually can't respond to it, and it can't go public. They can respond, but I'm the only one that sees that.
Okay.
So I think I have close to, was it 100? I think I
100,
have close to 100
yeah.
parents on my Facebook, but on my Twitter, I think I only have 12 followers.
But it's great because if we have something you're going to send home and a student loses it in their backpack, Mr. Thompson takes a picture of it, puts it up on Facebook, and there you go. You have that.
Wow.
It's right at your fingertips. So.
Yep. But I do every week. I probably get an average of 2 to 3 more people that sign up. So, and in every newsletter, I make sure I put a blurb. Check us out on Facebook or Twitter. So.
Nice.
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Guys, very well done.
Thank you.
Very detailed. You went over your time, but
I did.
can I
Oh,
say,
I did. Oh, I talked too much. I'm sorry.
I knew that coming in.
That's why I went last, right?
Yeah, but really good stuff. Good, solid stuff.
Thank you.
All right, so left us some donations. The first donation is to McKinney Vento, and it's $1,500 for backpacks filled with supplies. Second donation were pumpkins for South Street Elementary School for science projects for seeds. And the third is $1,000 for Crocker Elementary, and that is the estimate of the materials and supplies for the cleanup that was done by Crossroads Community Church. There's another one. This is all part of Crocker. It's all together, but there was the mulch donated, and then there was the paint for the part of the cleanup, which is the presentation you saw with Adam Renda.
Okay. So we have some action items, and then we have an executive session, so moving.
No public testimony, I guess.
Hi. Okay, so we're going to move right into the action items. The first is, actually, we have several donations, 619 through 623. Someone want to make that
Make a motion. We accept 619, 23.
through 623?
Yep.
Okay. Is there a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion passes. And then, is there a motion to pay the bills?
Make a motion to pay the bills.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We are now going to, I need a motion
I'll
to
make a
go
motion, we
into
go into executive session.
purposes of negotiation, only to come back for the purposes of adjournment. Okay, roll call vote. Beth? Yes.
Just present? Is that what I, yes? Yes, I don't. I always get confused when I'm supposed to say.
Teresa?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Pete?
Yes.
Yes. Sally?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.